Hi y'all, and welcome to Spinstress Station on YouTube. My name is Stephanie. If you are new here, I am a female that lives up in the Midwest now. I used to live in the Southwest, um, and so it's been a bit of a change for my weather temperature gauge now. Used to live in the very hot desert. Now I'm up in the Midwest, and it is a rather nice, rainy, cloudy day today. I believe it's April 4th? No, April 8th, I think, is today. It's on the weekend. But I am coming to you after quite a long while of being away, just dealing with being in a new place, job, uh, getting back into my sourdough baking, so that's taking up more time on the weekend. But I hope everybody is doing well. If you are also dealing with a rather cold and rainy day, pour yourself something nice and warm and settle in for my hopefully quick update. So we'll start off with finished projects. So as you can see, I am wearing one of my finished projects. This is the Holly sweater by Han Ryman, and this took a little bit longer to make than what I was expecting. The body went by pretty fast, and then once I got up to the color work, I didn't have my color work tension rings. I was just trying to tension it with my fingers, and I'm a continental knitter, so it was like two different fibers going on this finger, and so I was knitting it rather loose. So I basically got through with making the body, making my sleeves really fast, and then I started the color work. And by the time I had gotten all the way up here to the neck area, I found that I had knit it so loose that it was like an inch and a half further down for the armpits. And I had just all this up here where I thought I had drastically decreased to like make it get around my shoulders. And I tried it on and I didn't have uh, enough like ease between my different like the blue in the back when you're kind of pulling your yarn across in the back of the color work and like putting it down. I'm losing words right now, but people that do color work, you hold the secondary color in the back and then you kind of like tie it down with stitches and stuff. And so I wasn't allowing enough ease for that. So when I lifted my arms, this whole entire thing would come all the way up because it was tight right around here because it wasn't loose enough in the back. And so at that point, I just said, all right, I'm going to rip it all out. Basically was at 99.9% done with the collar, trying it on, and I was not happy with the fit because I had made everything a little too loose. Ripped it all the way back down to the beginning of the color work, found my tension ring, and reknit the whole entire piece up, and then finish it off. So yes, it is fitting a lot better than the first time. It's not super skin tight, but it has like maybe a couple inches of ease. So it's the nice, warm, cozy sweater. It is made with the Beatrix yarn by Juniper Moon Farms, and that is a mixture of 54% extra fine merino, 30% angora, and 16% nylon. This is extremely fuzzy. I have a cat now. Her name's Loafin, which is like a Norse goddess, but she also looks like a loaf of bread when she's laying down. But she's a tortie, and so this thing is attracting black hair like no other. It's also attracting bits of thread because I've been starting to get back into quilting again, trying to finish off my aunt and uncle's king size quilt that I wasn't able to finish for Christmas last year. I'm working on that. This literally is like a magnet for all that, and it is pilling a little bit, but we'll see how it holds up. But it's nice and warm, especially for the weather that's up here. And after reknitting this area, I'm quite happy with the finished project. So it's done. The other thing about this sweater is that you could put these little like holly berries, and stitch those into the color work with the blue thread that I have in here, but I decided not to add those baubles. I just didn't want extra texture up here. I just like it plain as is. And so that's how I finished this off. I'll try and stand up and show you some of it. So yeah, basically it's a little loose, but I like loose fitting. And it goes down here. I think my hips / waist begin here, but it goes further down, so it's nice. So that way I'm not having to constantly pull it down when I bend over and do other things. It's just a nice fitting sweater. So this is one of the projects I got done. The last time I spoke to you guys, I also had some socks going on, and that was the only thing I really had going. So I was able to finish some vanilla socks for myself with the Green Mountain sock weight yarn, which is 75% superwash merino and 25% nylon, and it's by the Kingdom Fleece and Fiber Works. And this has actually been through the wash a couple of times, so I literally pulled this out of the dryer. I couldn't find the other pair that went with it. It's somewhere in the dryer. But it's been through the wash a couple of times. It's holding up pretty well. Like if you see this and then look at this, this one has like a little bit more sheen to it just because this is a leftover yarn and it hasn't been through the washer a couple of times, but honestly it's staying pretty true to the color, which is nice. And so this was 64 stitches with a size 0 needle, US size needle, and I did a Eye of the Partridge heel, which makes a fun little pattern there. And I also learned how to do atomical toes. So atomical toes is where you actually kind of start decreasing on one side, which is usually where your pinky toe is, and then you decrease it and then do a couple decreases this way once you kind of get it long enough, and then you Kitchener stitch it together. So you have your left and then your right toes. So you just kind of got to look at it before you put it on. But yeah, so these are nice and comfy. They fit really nice. They have a good tightness to them, which I really like. I think I did this with the Chago 9-inch shorties, I think. Or I did it with my double point needles, but for some odd reason I'm thinking the shorties just because it has this nice tight tension to it that I feel like sometimes my DPNs don't quite get. So this one is done. And then another one that I finished was another pair of socks. It is a ribbed sock, and they're not for me, they're for a friend of mine. But it has like a 3x1 rib, basically going all the way from the top down the top of the foot and further down. And so this one I actually didn't do a reinforced heel because I was trying out a new heel technique. And you know, second time around, I probably, if I had the ability to do it again, I probably would do a reinforced heel, but I would just have to look into it a little bit more, because for this heel you needed an odd number of stitches, so like 31 stitches instead of 32 stitches or 33. So this is a Welsh heel instead of, like, I'm used to doing traditional heels. So the Welsh heel has an odd number of stitches because you kind of get this marking, pearl marking down the middle of it with that extra one odd stitch. And then the Welsh heel has, like, it's hard to show. It does like its decreases in the middle instead of like doing the decreases on the outside, so it kind of reinforces this area here. It's kind of a fun, cool heel. So if I hold it like this, you can kind of see the stitches, and there's still that middle pearl stitch down the middle just to help delineate which side you're decreasing on for like slip slips and knit togethers. And then once the heel is done, then I just went back to a normal stockinette stitch down here for the bottom of the foot. I didn't include that pearl anymore. And as I was working it, then eventually when I got close to the end with the toe, that's when I kind of moved one of the top stitches, because I had about 33 on the top. I moved one to the back, so that way it was 32 and 32 for when I started doing the decreases for the anatomical toe. So here's another one of the anatomical toes, decreasing for the left side of the foot. And then your big toe goes up here. And here is the other one. So you can kind of see. They're kind of hard to show, but this has the decreases coming down, and then the big toes go here. So these came out nice. This is the Sea Captain's Widow colorway from Plies and Hellhounds. And that is a 75% Coriadel superwash and a 25% nylon mixture for this one. So it's got a nice dark moody blue colorway, reminiscent of moody seas and treacherous seas and all those tales. So I thought it was a very well-named yarn. And so I'll be sending this to my friend soon, and hopefully she likes them. And this is the first time I'm knitting socks for her, so the dimensions she gave me, hopefully this works out for her. So that is the third object that I have done. So now we will go on to the works in progress. So for the works in progress, I have two works in progress. One of them is, of course, a sock. So let me pull it out really quick. So my sister is someone that doesn't really tolerate animal fibers very well. She just doesn't like the scratchiness of it. So this is one of my acquisitions from up here in my new hometown. And it's the Regia Cotton Color Tutti Frutti 2. And it's the plum colorway. But it is a 72% cotton, 18% polyamide, and 10% polyester mixture. And so there's no animal fiber in it whatsoever. And I just started it, well, I didn't just start it. I put it on the needles and then like let it sit there for a little bit because I wanted to get the Sea Captain's Widow's socks done first. Because I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to decrease the number of stitches that I casted on for this one. But I think I have 56 stitches cast on here. So it should fit my sister fine. And then I believe I'm using size 1 needles. Unfortunately, the problem with the carbon needles that I have is that as you use them, it just wears off the size. So I think it's a size 1, and I can't remember. I either use a size 0 or a size 1 US for my socks anyway. So yeah, this is casted on. Just started doing the ribbing here, and then I gotta decide if I just want to do a plain vanilla sock or if I want to add some type of stitch texture into this one, or if I even want to move it to a different set of needles to hopefully get a tighter gauge than this. So that's just something that's kind of floating around the background for a work in progress. And then the second work in progress that I have is somebody at work is expecting their first child. And so I kind of asked them, you know, are you into handmade items, or you just prefer gift cards to get what you need for the kid? And she was very much open for a homemade or handmade item. I didn't specify exactly what it was going to be, but she knows that I knit and I quilt, so it was going to be something along that range. So yeah, I was checking out some books at the local library. I found a children's knit book at the library and was just browsing through it, and I found a fairly cute pattern in there that I decided to try and make for her. So it is called the Whale Yolk Pullover by Yelena Malcolm, and I'm deciding to do the size 12-month size because I think she's due in May, and then it's going to be warm here, so they don't exactly need a sweater. So the kid should be, you know, quite a few months old by the time I think he really will need a sweater. But I don't know how big he's going to be when he's born, and you know, you just never know. You'd rather make it too big for them to grow into instead of too small, and they just go through baby clothes like super fast. So a 12-month, hopefully they can wear a couple of times before they grow out of it. So I got some yarn up in my new local yarn shop, and I'm using Plymouth yarns. It is their Dream Baby DK. And so this one is 50 grams, has about 174 yards, and it's 50% acrylic and 50% nylon. And originally for the color work, it kind of had like blues and then a very light blue and then like a jadey blue for like the color work part. But I kind of wanted to make it a little different. I thought it was a little too much blue. And I kind of wanted to make it a little bit more like unisex, just in case she has another kid and maybe it's a female, and then she can like pass it down to the next kid or whatever. But yeah, so it's basically I got, I think, five of these balls. So there's 3 of the green, which is the main body. And then I got 1 of the cream white and 1 of the light blue in there. So the white, the colorway is 101, the blue is 145, and the green is 162 if you want to know exact colorways for these. But yeah, they are little whales, and I thought they were absolutely adorable. Some of them look a little demented because I think you can kind of see like this one and this one are a little bit more pointy than these two. And that's because I slightly messed up on the color work, but you know, not all whales in reality are perfect. So, you know, it is what it is. It will keep them nice and warm, and that's the main thing. The other reason I got this yarn is because it's like 100% like acrylic nylon. I just wanted to have something that would be easy for her to like throw into the wash and not really have to worry about it too much, since she's a first-time mom and time is going to be of the essence, and saving as much time as you can is always a good thing for new moms. So yeah, so this is something that she should be able to throw into the wash really easily, and hopefully it'll clean up somewhat all right. And then of course my cat's fur is all over this, so it'll be from me and my cat at this point. But so at this point I have to just do the sleeves. I just did a bind off today, but the ribbing is done with a US size 2 and the body is done with a US size 4. I think I made the neckline just a little bit larger, and then I forgot to change to the 4, at least up here in this green part where I was increasing stitches. So then by the time I get to the color work, I did change it up to the size 4. So not too bad. I think doing it with the size 2 is probably better, just because when I look at the picture in the book, you can kind of see the increases of the stitches a little bit more there, and I think with like the slightly smaller needle that helped to compact it a little bit. But this pattern, there was a couple times where I miscounted my stitches, so I thought I had 2 over, so I decreased 2 just to get rid of them, and then when I went to check my increases, I was missing 2 by the end of it, so then I added those 2. But the nice thing is that like you can just MacGyver it a little bit, and it still is absolutely fine. It's still a sweater. But yeah, so it was just, I think the reason it kind of got to me a little bit was because I think I had to cast on 120 stitches for the size 12. And then she wanted me to increase evenly 27 stitches, and 27 stitches doesn't go into 120 evenly. So I was just like trying to mark everything, and then I was counting probably around people at knit night, and so that's how I was miscounting a couple of stitches here and there. So, but you know, it worked out. It's fine. I did a stretchy bind off. That's why it's a little wavy on the bottom, just because I wanted to make sure she could just like really stretch this puppy out and like get it over the kid instead of having to like worry about, you know, how kids are when they like flail around and do things. So I just wanted to make it easy for her to kind of just stretch it and lasso that kid when she's done. So yeah, so her baby shower is late this month. So this has been a pretty fast project. I think I casted this on, I'm not done yet, of course. I casted this on the 31st of March, and now it's like almost the 8th. So 7 days of, going to work and doing other things too. Not too shabby. I'm gonna have to stop at the local knit shop to probably get some slightly smaller size 4 needles. I'm thinking of trying to get some shorties to work the sleeves, just because I don't think I have a DPN of US size 4. I have like US size 3, which is like 3.25, and the 4 is 3.5 millimeters. And I just want to make sure I'm giving the kid enough room with arm movement, and how sometimes babies are a little chunky, so their arms might need a little more extra room. I don't want to give them too tiny of armholes. I don't want to construct them. So I gotta get that, and that should pretty much finish up this little sweater. I have to decide, because I know I will have extra yarn, I have to decide if I want to make a hat or if I will have time to make a hat for them. And of course, it's not like the hat needs to be made immediately, because this baby's coming in a rather nice time of the year. So I don't think it'll need a hat too often. And I'm pretty sure the rest of the family is going to give them tons of new baby clothes, like newborn baby clothes. So it doesn't have to be done right away. So yeah, so that's kind of my current project besides the socks. And other than that, I think it's very cute. I was kind of like in shock of how like I had to buy 5 of these balls, and it was like $28 for all 5 of them. And I was just like, that is literally the price of a hand-dyed sock skein of yarn. So I was like, I should knit for babies more often. But there's not a lot of babies happening in my life besides the ones at work, so at least I get to get some, baby knits in. So that is what I have for works in progress, and now we'll go on to acquisitions. Okay. All right, so for acquisitions, you've already seen me mention a couple of yarns and show them off a little bit, since I got those fairly recently. So the first one was the Regia Cotton Tutti Frutti #2. It is the plum colorway, and it is 100 grams for, that equals about 459 yards. And the mixture of it's 72% cotton, 18% polyamide, and 10% polyester, just to give it a little extra stretch and durability. So yep, those are going for the sock. And then the second one that I mentioned was the Plymouth yarn, and it is the 50% polyamide, 50% nylon, 5 different balls, 3 different colors. And this one is 50 grams, and it has about 174 yards per ball. This is the second ball that I'm on. I still have a third one, so these will finish off the sleeves. And then some other ones that I have gotten recently are some hand-dyed yarns. So let me pull them out. So this one is Arcane Fire, or Arcane Fiberworks technically, and this colorway is Fire and Ash. And it's got nice reds and ash color and some whites. So I thought this would be a nice soft sock yarn. It is 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and this guy has 435 yards to 100 grams, so quite a decent amount. It is a fingering weight as well, so that's why there's a little bit more yardage there. And then I got that at one of my local yarn shops. They were having an event at one of our local venues. They have like a brewery there, and there's food places to eat and places to shop, and so every once in a while at this venue they'll do like weekends where they have a crafting thing, and multiple companies kind of come into their venue area and set up, and so it was nice. I just went there to go and knit, but they kind of set up like a store basically. They brought stuff to sell, and this is one of the yarns that they have there, and so of course I couldn't resist and I got this. And then the last acquisition that I have is this colorway. It is Summer Sherbet by, and I'm gonna probably pronounce this extremely terribly, Yugioni Yarns. Let me just, maybe you can read that. This one. So it's their Yug Sport weight, and it is a 3-ply sport weight, 100% superwash merino. And this one is 100 grams, and there's about 325 yards in this. So this is a sport weight, and so this one's a fingering, this one's a sport. If you put it up really close, you can kind of see this is slightly thicker than this one. Yeah, but this is called Summer Sherbet. This is a local dyer, I think, or she's kind of in like the local state area. And the yarn shop I was at, they were having a trunk show, and so this was one of the yarns that she was selling, and so I thought it was really pretty. It would be a nice, fun, fruity colorway for a sock, or maybe I could even use it in color work at some point. We'll see. But that is the other acquisition that I have for you guys. And you may think that is not a lot, but I also last month pre-ordered a few skeins from Long Dog Yarns. She's a dyer based in New Mexico, and she had a Princess Bride update. So, of course, I had to partake of the Princess Bride update, and I ordered some yarn, and that has yet to come in. But of course, the next time I film, I will show you guys that. And then also this weekend, Melanie from, I think it's Melanie. I'm sorry, Mel, if I got your name wrong. From Big Little Yarn Company. She is an indie dyer that started off in LA, but then she moved back to Japan with her husband, and she now has a son there. She still has family in the United States, so she comes and visits every once in a while, but she's a Japanese indie yarn dyer, and she's done quite a few different clubs that I've enjoyed, but the most recent one that she is releasing is the Q2 of the Studio Ghibli colorways. So she's releasing them in like 3-month blocks, so Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. So I'm not quite sure what she did for the first quarter. I think she has extras for sale on her website, some of them, because she dyed up a few extra things here and there. But for this quarter, it is Laputa, Castle in the Sky, Princess Mononoke, and Ponyo. So those are the 3 movies that are inspiring these colorways. And I have pre-ordered all 3 of them for the sock set that she's doing. So I think she does it on her regular superwash sock set. She had one for her cashmere sock, which is the one that I got. I decided to splurge a little bit and get the cashmere sock. And there was, I think, a new BFL sock base that she has that is non-superwash. So yeah, she's had 3 different bases that you could get it on. So I pre-ordered all of those just because they all seemed like a really nice, fun colorway, and I also felt guilty for missing out the first quarter because they were also all really nice there too. So that just dropped. I don't know if it's probably going to be closed by the time I post this video, but definitely check out Big Little Yarn Company and check out her shop because she's got quite a few yarns from different collections that she's done, and they're all extremely beautiful, and I just love them. They do ship from Japan, so just think about that for shipping costs. It's a little expensive from Japan right now, but because I was getting all 3, they're all just going to ship at the end of June to me, and that way it'll make the shipping more worth it, though her yarn is like worth it in general. Just trying to be a little bit more economic, just because I have now bought two different dyers collections recently, even though I'm trying not to grow my stash, but you know, sometimes it needs feeding. So that is what I have for my acquisitions, and now we will go to future projects. All right, so for future projects, it is like a broken record all over again. So I am going to do the Bent Sweater by Natasha Hornby. I will be using Big Little Yarn Company's merino colorway, one of her colorways for the merino, and some yarn that I had processed from a fleece that I bought in Estes Park. So that is what I will be using for the Bent Sweater. And so after I'm done with the baby sweater, that's the next big project I will be casting on. It's actually kind of funny because now that I look at it, the second thing on my list to knit is the Crescentima by Ines Sang, and it's a really beautiful shawl. And I plan to also use more of Big Little Yarn Company's yarn from the first collection that I bought from her. And it's got a beautiful green, kind of yellow, and then red colorway, I think. No, it was a blue one. I got a green, kind of yellow, and blue sock yarn from these 3 different colorways, and I will be using that for the Crescentima along with a more creamy white yarn that I had processed from another fleece that I bought from a grower in New Mexico, or a shepherdess in New Mexico. I think it's called Cactus Farms. And that one's a merino-based fleece that I got, and so that was also processed into yarn in a sport weight and a DK weight, and so I'll be using, I believe, the sport weight as like the base color of the shawl, and then using Big Little Yarn Company's different colorways to kind of accent that shawl that I'm showing somewhere up here. And then of course I always have socks galore on my future projects. So yeah, I'm trying to be a little bit more realistic and just, you know, what I usually have going on the needles as like a little extra project. Socks, it's always something. You can never have too many socks. I really enjoy wearing them to work in my boots. They're just nice to have. And this might be TMI, but yeah, I feel like handmade socks just fit you better, and I don't get as, I don't know, I don't want to say sweaty, but I just feel like sometimes like the fake, super fake store-bought socks, just the material, they just tend to like make your feet, it's not breathable. Okay, let's just say that it is not breathable. And so if you're wearing boots and other things, sometimes your feet feel cold and clammy, and they just feel clammy in general. I just feel like handmade socks help kind of outmaneuver that just slightly. It's just a little bit more comfortable. So socks, it is forever and ever. But yeah, so that is my basic update that I have for you. I hope everybody's doing well, staying safe, staying healthy out there, getting excited for springtime. Once I do finish the second sweater that I have on my list, I do plan to try and find some nice tank top knits just to round out my tank top knits in general, because I honestly don't have that many tank tops in my wardrobe anymore, like not even store-bought tank tops. And so I think the knitted tank tops would fill that little hole nicely, especially when it gets a little humid, but you know, not hopefully too terribly bad up here for the summer. But yeah, so those are my future projects, and let me know what you guys are working on, how everything's going on your end. Are you guys getting the second winter, fall, spring scenario right now? I'm hoping that the rain is a good sign and that we won't have any more weird winter moments or vortexes up here. But Needless to say, I'm extremely thankful for this year. It has been a rather mild winter for the Midwest. Last year I heard was extremely terrible, but I just moved here in December, so I don't have firsthand experience with a extremely cold Midwest winter, but this one has been marvelous. And yeah, we'll see what it's like next year, but hopefully I'll be more prepared with more sweaters. So, as always, happy knitting, happy sewing, and happy spinning, and I will see you guys later.